Good morning, welcome back to my channel. My name's Lauren. I used to be a librarian and now I talk about books on the internet, and for today's video I brought notes and a protein drink. So let's just get into it. So last week I had the opportunity to virtually attend the Penguin Random House Social Media Summit. It was a 2-day in-person and virtual event that was held for, I guess, the company, and then they invited other people to come, and it was more focused on the business aspects of social media marketing and how businesses can use this to market their products, specifically obviously focused on books, but I got to be a little fly on the wall and listen to it as someone who sort of content creates online. So that was really interesting, and I made a list of ideas and takeaways that I personally found interesting and inspiring, and are little thought nuggets that I'm going to try to apply to my own content creation, and I thought I would share them with you all. Now, I think some of the things that they were talking about definitely do not apply to the personal use of creating content, and I don't know that any of it applies to me in my job because I work in customer service. I'm not marketing anything to anybody. So I'm just playing with spreadsheets and answering emails, okay? But there were some really interesting thoughts that I thought would be worth sharing. So it was a 2-day thing, and there were different panels. Each panel was 45 minutes to an hour long, and I don't really have all the panels written down here and where I got certain things from. Some of these ideas were kind of themes that I saw throughout, and also I was watching virtually from home, so I was in a Teams meeting with other people who were also chatting, so I got some takeaways from that as well. So the first big thing that really stuck out to me was the idea of building community over followers. So obviously, for me, I'm not content creating because I want to be this super famous content creator. I have a job. It gives me benefits. I like my job. I just do this on the side because for me, as someone who has consumed bookish social media for a very long time, I like the community aspect of talking online. For me, I live in a very small town, and while there are readers here, they're not readers to the caliber and the interest that I feel like I am. And that's not me saying I read 300 books a year, so I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah. That's not it. I'm saying it's hard. So obviously my memory card filled up and I forget where I was. So we were talking about the first bullet point, which is building community over followers. So for me, the thing that I love about my first book online community really was BookTube here on YouTube, and I remember watching a lot of different creators, and one of the things that really stood out to me was this sense of community. I love the idea of readathons and Discord channels and even Patreons. I'm not in any currently, but I do bounce in and out depending on, financial situations. So I do love this idea of building community with creators, and I think something that they were talking about is that the thing that sells books is not someone coming on here and being this is my favorite book, blah, 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 this is why. Yes, that will sell some books, but seeing someone with 1 million followers talk about a book that they like versus seeing someone who I maybe talk to in the comments, have sort of this parasocial relationship really with, seeing them talk about a book is gonna make me want to read it more than just seeing some talking head talk about a book. And so they were talking about how they're not so much looking for follower counts or to find effective content creators to work with, not to look for follower counts, but to look for types of engagement. So are they commenting back? Are they commenting on other people's stuff? Are they sharing? What are they sharing? Do they have engagement? What are their views like? Not necessarily how many followers they have. And I'm not saying that this is tried and true, what's going to happen, what different influencer programs are looking for or anything. I'm just saying, like, these are some of the takeaways that I think I liked and that I want to use in my social media. So for me, this building community means like interacting with not only my followers, but interacting with the community more, and being less of a bulletin board and more of like a conversation place, I guess. The second thing that they talked about was collaborations, creative ways to bring fandoms together. I've never done really collaborations. The only thing I've done is participating as a co-host in a readathon. I did that once, so that's kind of like this, but like looking for ways to collaborate with different like different brands, different items, looking for ways to collaborate with different people, like, and maybe even outside of the niche. So obviously we're in the bookish community, and a lot of booktube creators or bookish creators collaborate together with authors and things, but then finding ways to connect that to other things. So like anime, video games, crafting, food, things that like are also a part of that bookish lifestyle. And so for me, that really is like, I've kind of come to the conclusion that my social media and my content is more lifestyle based and less booktube focused, because I don't know, I refuse to make multiple social media channels for like my multiple different special interests, because I just don't have time for that. And this is not my career. Like I said, this is just something I do for fun, to connect with people who have similar interests to me. So finding ways to connect like with crafting and audiobooks, or video games and audiobooks, or video games that are bookish, like the what was it called, the book van thing that just came out, or I have like a bookish board game, those kinds of things. Oh, and then, so number 3, they talked about there's more of a trend in stylized content rather than the content that's like, that it looks like someone filmed in their bedroom or whatever. So by stylized, I mean like having a specific set. They said about having a set and thinking about where you film as a set. So for me, I know I'm a little chaotic with this because I have so many different bookshelves, and I kind of just film in front of whichever bookshelf is available and looks clean at the time. But I think for me, I'm gonna have to put more of a focus in deciding like, this is probably the bookshelf that I want to film in front of, because I do have natural light here. So looking at this bookshelf as a set and keeping it, you know, nice and neat and organized and whatnot, and having consistency with your backgrounds, because with TikTok especially, and things like Instagram or whatever, they're not necessarily pushing your content out to your followers. They're pushing it out to whoever that the algorithm thinks needs to see your content. So you're not necessarily showing up on feeds of people who know who you are. You're showing up on feeds of new people. And so having that consistency of background, consistency maybe of outfits, or, you know, the look or whatever, having consistency will really help build more of like a brand image. Even though like I'm a person making this content, I also need to have kind of an image that people would expect to see from my content, if that makes sense. Number 4, this little quote is really interesting. So on day 2, there was a panel with different people outside of the book space. So they had a social media person from Amtrak, one from Major League Baseball, and one from the Hershey Company, which, by the way, I need to pick up the Reese's Oreos because they were the talk of the town that day. But anyway, one of the discussions was about the length of content. So the thing that I'm seeing on TikTok right now is that people are saying like that's 7-second video and to keep things short and snappy. But what this guy said is that Gen Z doesn't have a short attention span, they have a short consideration span. Let that sink in. I'll say it again. Gen Z doesn't have a short attention span, they have a short consideration span. So it's not that they won't watch these longer things, it's that if you don't hook them in the beginning, they're not going to watch till the end. So, and they kind of said it as it's better to have more longer videos and you're going to get better return on your investment on the content if you have longer videos and people watch longer amounts of those videos, like a longer, if people watch your video for longer than if they watch the whole video of a 7-second video. So like, don't be afraid to make longer content, longer videos. You just really have to hook them. You have to have that really good intro, you have to have that really good hook, you have to have a really good idea to hook them and make them want to watch more of your long video. Another thing that they talked about was the idea of series. So picking something that you can come back to time and again and that, you know, people will expect from you. So on TikTok, I'm thinking specifically, I saw a girl who does the day trips. So she lives in Dallas and she takes a flight to different places in the US and she takes you on her day. She timestamps the day and says everything she's doing and like how much everything costs. So that is a series that she does, and so she is known for doing that. Or there is, what else? There's this guy that keeps coming up on my TikTok who is like, you know what really slaps now that I'm 30? And then he says something. He's got that like stoner vibe, that stoner relaxed vibe. And he's like, you know what really slaps? The second cup of coffee, or sitting on a porch or something. And like every video starts the same way and he has it at the same angle and the same frame and everything. And so that's series. So you need to find that series that will hook your viewers to keep coming back to your page. And then I know I said I was going to do 5, but I actually have 8 things written down on my little paper. So they talked about an appetite for risk. So taking that risk with making content, because without risk there's no reward. Obviously that's not like a new concept, but I think that's something that people need to hear when considering if they want to make content, because you kind of just have to do it. You just have to have that delusional idea that you can do it, and then you just need to do it. And then when you are making your content, here are like 2 questions that they said to ask yourself. So obviously this presentation was more geared towards corporate and corporations, and they have spreadsheets and notes and data about all of their social media and the content that they're creating and pushing out. They maybe have more, like I said, they have more like data and more information to back this up than, you know, the regular Joe me. I don't have a list necessarily of the content. I can look in analytics on different social media sites and I can see what performs and what doesn't perform, and I can sometimes make informed decisions with what I want to post based on that. But here are some questions that you can ask yourself before you post the content, before you even make it. So like, what would I want to get out of this experience? So for me, for example, I'm making this video talking about tips for social media, tips for content creation. So when I was writing the notes of things that I wanted to share, I was thinking like, if I was watching someone else make this video, what would I expect to see in this video? What would I expect to learn? What would I want to learn? So again, what would I want to get out of this experience? And then another thing is, what would motivate you to share this to your audience? So again, this goes back to number 1 with that building community and the fact that people are looking for shares and comments over followers, because follower count isn't necessarily as important anymore, because like I said, your content is getting pushed out to For You pages and out into the algorithm. Your content is getting pushed out to people who aren't necessarily subscribing or like following you, but they are consistently seeing and viewing and liking your content and sharing with their friends. So when you make a piece of content, you have to think about like, what in this content would make you want to share it with your audience. Again, if this was someone else making this video about social media, what is the thing about this that would make me want to share it with my friends or share it with my audience? So kind of just seeing your content from the lens of the outside view and trying to decide how you want your content to be presented. I don't know if that makes sense or not. This was a super rambly little video, and the fact that my memory card filled up during the first like 5 seconds of making this kind of worked my mojo over a little bit. That's okay. So anyway, those are like 5, arguably 8 things that I learned from a social media summit that I thought would be fun to share with my audience here. I'm definitely going to be trying to implement some of these ideas as I move forward with my content creation journey. Let me know down below in the comments what is your best advice that you have learned about creating content or making social media. And if you made it to the end of this video and you don't have anything to say, leave me some sort of fall emoji down below in the comments, because I am really feeling the September fall fresh vibes. And I will just see you in my next video. Bye for now.